everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Disney Resorts Podcast. My name is Kenny Hayes, and I am joined alongside, as always, by the one, the only, Walt Ramirez.
Hello, Ken. How are you tonight?
I'm doing very well. And, folks, we have a very special guest on this very special episode that's airing. The one, the only, Miss Deni Sunderly.
Hello there, gentlemen. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I'm honored just to be here. So thank you.
We're honored to have you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We're going to call you the Queen of Positivity.
Oh,
Sure.
That's okay. I'll take that. I appreciate that.
But thank you so much, Deni, for joining us, taking some time out of your busy schedule. We really appreciate it. And, we're looking forward to this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Me too. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
So, Deni, we saw last night that you were on TRON again, and we have a question for you. TRON versus Guardians. Which one do you prefer?
Oh, dear. So in my mind and in most of my friends' minds, there's no question. There is no battle of the attractions here. It is Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind all the way. That does not discount TRON and what it is. It just speaks highly of what Guardians is. It tells it to me, Guardians is just that perfect mix of all things attractions. It is a party. It has the random element that you don't know which song you're going to get when you get on the attraction. And, am I going to finally get that last? It's like me in Mission Breakout in Disney California Adventure. Like, I have ridden it 9 times. Have I gotten all of the songs? No, there's one elusive song, and eventually I will get it. Eventually. So same with Guardians. It's a party, and that's apropos of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Like any attraction that the Guardians would be associated with, of course, it is going to be a nonstop party. So that's a home run. TRON is a thrill. Like it is a thrill ride from beginning to end. And as some people are a little disappointed about, the beginning and the end are not far apart because it is a very short ride.
That's what I've heard.
Oh, it is. But what they pack into that short ride is incredibly thrilling.
So I have a question for you, Deni, and everyone who watches our show. Walter is the rides guy. I am the resort lounge laid back kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
I know of people. I think some of the complaints, like you said, TRON is short. I believe it's only somewhere like 48 seconds, somewhere around there, start to finish.
I've heard right over a minute.
Okay,
is the last thing that I heard. Okay,
now, do you think Guardians is more intense than TRON, or vice versa? How do you figure about that?
I would put TRON as more intense. I mean, just using that word, if that's the definition, TRON, I mean, that launch is incredible. And please get the front row of that attraction. It is worth the wait, however long you have to wait. It is so worth it. To be staring down the launch tunnel in the on the front light cycle, like, no. I'm sorry. But that is more intense because immediately it shoots you out, that launch does, and immediately banks up and to the right. And then continues sweeping from there. And I mean, y'all have seen the footage online. Like it is, my goodness, that's intense. Yes, you have the backwards launch with Guardians. Yeah. But immediately you're spun. Once you're up and in, you're spun around, and that's
Walter's favorite.
I mean, is it?
Yeah,
is it?
It is.
Walt,
that description that you just gave of TRON, you just officially talked Kenny out of ever going on that ride.
Yes, I'm completely terrified now.
Oh, Kenny, I'm so sorry, dear.
That's okay.
Yeah, I was hoping that you would have said, "Oh, it's like kind of like Winnie the Pooh. It's very slow." This
exactly.
Walter was hoping, Deni, you were gonna talk me onto it, and we went backwards.
Yeah.
Well, maybe if there's a little something that, just go get, don't have coffee because that'll increase the anxiety. I'm trying to think of something that you could have that'll kind of mellow you out a little bit before you get on the attraction.
And I love coffee, so that's another strike.
I tell you what, Kenny, I'm sorry. But it is, maybe you could just do it, Kenny, once just to say you've done it because it's wonderful. I love it. And even more, I don't want to say even more than the attraction, but as much as the attraction, I'm looking forward to enjoying just the area, the venue itself. They've opened the walkway from Tron down into Storybook Circus now.
Yes, I did see
thankfully, they have given us benches. They have given us benches down there. And so I took time with my brother-in-law last night just to sit there, and we had our preview time was 5:30 to 6:30, so we were right in the sweet spot of riding it. We got there during the day, but also we were able to see the canopy come to life under a dusky sky, and that is thrilling in and of itself. And plus you've got the attraction vehicles, the trains just going right overhead. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to getting a cup of coffee and sitting there and just enjoying this new attraction.
How would you compare the launch to Rock and Roller Coaster? Is it just as intense or less intense?
It is, I want to say it's more intense because, and my brother-in-law, actually, I've got to credit him because he was the one to say last night, because I've likened the attraction to some of the interior elements to Rock and Roller Coaster, because you're going through like portals, which remind me of the donuts that we're traveling through. But as far as launch is concerned, he pointed out last night, and he's exactly right. The launch area is so much shorter for Rock and Roller Coaster, and you can't see where you're headed.
True.
Everything is pitch black ahead of you. Here at Tron, you are staring down that tunnel. You know exactly what is about to happen.
Right.
And still, when it happens, it takes your breath away. Like you are shot out at such velocity. It's so much fun. Granted, you don't go right into a loop like you do with Rock and Roller Coaster, but really, as far as something that is one more intense or more thrilling, it's going to be the launch from Tron.
Have you had an opportunity to go through the queue for Tron?
Yes. So, yes. There's an external queue. So the way that they're doing the previews right now, and granted, we're going to board the attraction once it opens on April 4th using a boarding group system, just like Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. So I'm not, it'll be interesting to see if they do any kind of grouping at all, outside of the attraction. But the standby line, they've got plenty of switchbacks outside. Once you go into the attraction building, you've got a little show element, which is really cool because it kind of gets you just excited right away. And then after that show element, you are brought into an interior queue. I've got to imagine, though, I mean, they've got the whole boarding group system down to a science now with Guardians. I've got to imagine that they're going to do the same thing with Tron, in that they're going to stage it so that you and I don't have an egregious wait while inside the attraction building. I don't know about y'all, but I've had some pretty good success with not having to wait too long inside in Guardians. But it's nice that it's kind of like Guardians in that you have something to look at while you're inside the attraction building. It's not as cool as Guardians.
Right. Okay.
That's for sure, but it's all right.
But it's adequate.
It is. It's adequate. And just getting to see that little bit of the show element to begin with kind of, it takes care of that that hunger to get on the attraction. Like you see it and you go, oh, that's awesome. That's going to be so much fun. That's cool. And you might think, hey, I'm about to board the attraction. No, not yet. You've got a little bit of a queue, but that's okay. Right. You've seen at least a glimpse of what's coming.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's pretty cool. So Deni, I know if you've listened to our previous shows at all, we've been discussing a lot of the recent changes, positive and negative, that have been happening recently in Disney World. Mm-hmm. And just wondering what your thoughts were about the return of Bob Iger. Were you shocked, surprised at the ouster of Mr. Chapek?
Exactly.
I mean, especially considering that he had been extended only 2 weeks prior. So that was Kenny and I were kind of surprised that he was unceremoniously fired. Yeah. Not that he didn't deserve it, but.
I think, number one, was I surprised and shocked? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was sitting downstairs on the couch watching TV and sat there going, wait, what? Like, I got a message from someone and I went, wait, let's immediately hop on Twitter, as we all do, and started digging. And lo and behold, it came, yes, this has come to pass. It felt like the end of the reimagined Star Wars, where George Lucas was able to go in and all the different planets are rejoicing that the Empire has fallen. That's what it felt like. Like we're on Naboo and we're celebrating right now, or we're the Ewoks and we're having a party. We're somebody. We were having a party. Now, bless his heart. It was time. It was time for him to go, and the fact that Iger was coming back was like, it was something merciful, which was nice. It felt like we as fans were actually being heard. Not that Iger is without fault. Not all of us liked him when he was here the first go around. But he is, and I said this that night, and I stand by it. Even when, in my mind, one of the biggest differences between Chapek and Iger is that even when Iger has bad news to share, which anybody who is CEO of anything is going to have bad news to share from time to time. That's just business.
Yep.
But even when he has bad news to share, it is done with compassion. And rather than just giving us the cut and dry, black and white facts of the matter, as we had. So, during Chapek's, tenure or time with the company, Iger is able to go, okay, this is the black and white, but I know a lot of gray is going on as well. So let me help you through this. I mean, seeing it, there's 7,000 cast members who either have already or will be finding out that they are being, let go, that they'll no longer be in their role at the company. And that's heartbreaking. That's understandable with a new leader at the company, because you're going to want somebody to go, okay, where can we trim things? Because we're hemorrhaging in this area, which means something's got to give. But it really seems like it's been done judiciously.
Yeah, he's not as heavy-handed.
So that night, exactly. And it's not so, here's your lumps and you're going to take them. And I don't care if you like it or not, really, just live with it.
Right.
Which that kind of felt like that was the theme under Chapek. Hey, we're going to start monetizing literally everything in the park. Things that we never monetized before. I don't care if you're a Disney Parks fan or not, but we're going to start putting a price tag on literally everything.
Yep.
You don't like it, don't come.
Yeah, that's basically what he was saying.
And that's hard to swallow as a Disney Parks fan. So at least we have somebody who's got a little bit of compassion.
Because you know what my thoughts
knows how to show it.
My thoughts, Deni, on Chapek is like we all knew he was a numbers guy.
Yeah.
And I think if you would have put him in a different company, even in the same role, he could have been more successful. However, how vast Disney is, from parks to media to movies to everything, now into streaming, it takes a particular individual to be its CEO. And he just didn't have it. You know, and I don't want to knock the guy, because he's a human being. He has feelings.
Absolutely.
We are totally discussing and judging him on what we saw as fans of the corporation that he was running. But yeah, I've said that to Walter and numerous people. I think that whether he catches on somewhere else or he was the CEO somewhere else in a completely different company, I think he could have had success. This was just not his realm. He didn't have that people kind of skills. He always seemed, even when you see footage like at the 50th when they had their celebration in Magic Kingdom, and anytime you kind of saw him in public, he looked very reserved and, you know, just very tight and cold. And like when you see a Josh D'Amaro or when you see a Bob Iger and they're walking down Main Street like at Disneyland recently, and they just look so relaxed when they're with the people. And, you know, no matter who they are, good or bad, they can sell it. And he just could not sell it.
Yeah. And, you know, he was doing something right there for a while. He was making the company money, and it's hard to argue with that. They're not going to get rid of you unless they absolutely have to. And I think it just got to the point where it didn't matter. And plus there were parts of the company that were really starting to hemorrhage. And I don't think they could stop the bleeding. And so it was time for someone else. But you're exactly right. If he had been in another role, I mean, he loves direct to consumer, the whole DTC portion of the company. Whenever he was on a shareholder call, he spoke with such relish about that. That's what he led with. Like, you could kind of tell that's where his passion was. So if that was just his venue, you know, his purview, then maybe he would have done a little bit better in the long run.
I agree.
Yeah, because you just actually touched on it, Deni. You mentioned the monetization of basically everything. And some of that actually, as you mentioned, started prior to Bob Chapek taking over under Bob Iger. Kenny and I have touched on a bunch of those issues over the last several episodes. The elimination of Magical Express, not having your package being delivered to your room, the cutting of room service, no trams. Now, trams were kind of related towards COVID in a sense for a while there, but they still haven't returned to two of the parks, from what I understand. The elimination of, and this started under Iger, of the no refills at fountain drinks at resorts, where you had the RFID chip on the bottom of the cup. The no free extra magic hours. Now it's a premium upsell on that. So you had all of these things that just continued to mount. And I think most of us started to really get fed up with that, because it just seemed like it was a constant drip of monetization of everything. And Kenny and I joked around a lot, but we were just waiting for them to monetize the oxygen inside the park so that we'd have to pay for a canned beer. I mean, they did
it in Spaceballs.
Oh dear.
Point,
true, they did. It's true.
You know, at some point it has to stop, and I think it finally came to a head where they realized that they were really hurting their bottom line and upsetting a lot of customers. A lot of people just stopped going. Do you feel that with some of the small changes that they've already implemented in the last several months, that we're headed towards possibly some more changes, or do you think this is pretty much, this is as much as we're going to see for a while?
You know, Walt, I'm not 100% on that, but what I do know, and it's funny, my brother-in-law and I were just talking about this last night. When we lived in Maryland and we were flying down here with Grandma and Grandpa, that is quite an undertaking to make that happen. You have to move heaven and earth in order to even get here. And he was talking, they are huge Disney fans. Like, they used to come 2 and 3 times a year. Granted, the kids are getting older now, so you just kind of start to look and branch out. But what he said last night is, it is getting to a point where it's just too expensive. There are so many other things that you can do with that money and save money, and have just, just as great an experience, if not better. And I was telling him, and it's same as what I've said before, it is, to get to Walt Disney World is a Herculean effort, and you've got to get time off, and you've got to get the kids out of school, or if you're taking them during the summer, you've got to plan that. And what if there's practices they're missing and whatever, and you've got to save. For some people, for a lot of the families in those parks, that is their once in a lifetime trip, and I think Disney has forgotten that in part, because so they have made it such a big deal, from park pass reservations to the expense of even getting into the parks, and the fact that it's all very seasonal now. Your ticket could be more expensive depending on when you're coming during the year, and just getting here, whatever it takes to even get here. Add that. So that's your foundation. You roll into the parks, and you're already, anything that goes wrong is going to set people off, is going to disappoint, because you're expecting this amazing thing, this amazing product, because you've spent so much already. No, you actually find out, to be able to stay later in the parks during the evening, you have to be staying at a deluxe resort, or to be able to have your optimized Disney day, you have to get Genie Plus. And that's another extra amount of money on top of everyone else, on top of everything else. And it's per person per day. Or to get on that brand new attraction, I have to wake up at 6:45 in the morning, make sure that the clock I'm going by is correct, log on to my Disney experience, make sure everyone in my party is being pulled into the virtual boarding group functionality in the app. And then I have to just the anxiety building as you sit there waiting for it to turn 7 o'clock.
Absolutely.
And Deni, you forgot one thing.
So much. Yes,
also,
sir.
making sure in the morning you're not on Disney Wi-Fi either.
Yes, that's exactly right. You get off that Wi-Fi.
You get off that Wi-Fi fast.
You have no chance if you're on that Wi-Fi. None. But it's, the fact that every single thing is being monetized right now it's just very, very disappointing. I do hope that some of that is peeled back, but I don't think we're going to see it, to be honest. I know that's a really long answer to your question, but I don't know that we're going to see it, because if they're making money, it will stay. The answer to all your questions is money.
Yep.
Right. And we actually just touched on that on our last episode, when we mentioned that there have been some sellouts on Genie Plus. So Genie Plus is now selling out. And I just noticed that the extra magic hours at Magic Kingdom has sold out in March. I think there's one date that hasn't yet. I think it's on the 20th. So you are now selling out these events, which means these aren't going away. Like you mentioned, the Genie Plus is here to stay. And I think they've frustrated people. I think they've frustrated people to a point where they've just beaten, like you said, they've beaten you over the head with this, to a point where people have just have capitulated and said, that's it. I'm throwing in the towel. I'm going to, whatever it costs, I'm going to have it, do whatever I have to do to make my experience a better experience for my family. Like you said,
you're right. You're exactly right. They have caused the problem so that people will buy the remedy.
Yep.
So it's a win-win situation for them. So it is you just have to figure out where your tipping point is for you personally, for your family, your friends, whoever you're coming to the parks with. What's the point at which you go, you know what, I think I'm going to go to the beach or the mountains, or we're going to get a cabin and just sit there and relax for the week, because y'all know it's not going to be relaxing in Walt Disney World. It's going to be fun, possibly. It's not going to be relaxing, but that's going to have to be a personal decision. And it's not as easy to pass down the love of the Disney parks to the next generation like it used to be. And I think for me, that's I think for a lot of us, that's just disappointing.
That is, I agree. That's
one
a
thing
shame.
I was hoping for, Deni, with and I figured Genie Plus and Genie was going to stay. But what I was hoping for, and Walter and I talked about it in previous shows, is that even if they could bring back some type of free fast pass or whatever you want to call it for your not so popular rides, so that people could still get 1 or 2 guaranteed rides a day, and they could still plan them 60 days out like we used to. And that's what I struggle with the most. And Walter said in the last episode, he goes, I've held out for a long time because I've only used Genie once.
Okay.
And, I'm not a morning. I love to be a morning person, but I'm not necessarily a morning person, even though I get up very early for work every day. But to get up, and it is funny because in Disney, I wake up early. I like to have my cup of coffee, go sit out on the balcony. And you just take in everything that Disney is. And then I'm sitting there that day and it's 6:45 and now I'm making sure I'm not on the Wi-Fi. I'm in there and I keep refreshing and there's no times because I wanted to do Ratatouille. When we were there when Ratatouille went from a queue to Genie Plus that day. We were on vacation last fall. So I'm like, and everyone wanted to do it. And then I started panicking because then all of a sudden, right at 7 a.m., everything's there.
Yep.
And then you almost go into a panic mode of, oh my God, am I in the right spot? Like you said, making sure everybody who's in your family is on there. And then you see the times and you're like, well, what time? And I'm yelling to my wife and I'm like, well, what time do you want to go? There's all this available. She's like, just pick a time. And then you feel like you're exhausted after you get off of there.
Yes.
And then the rest of your day, and we live in a world now where we live on our phones. But Walter's made a good point of it a lot. And my last trip was 2 months ago in January. So I started to look around and all you see is this, walking through the parks. Instead of taking it in and admiring everything and every ounce of what Disney is and what we love it, you're buried in a phone. You're buried in a phone.
Yes. And they have fostered that from, boarding groups and My Disney Experience to the Play Disney Parks app. And the interactivity, just look at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge alone. Like they want you to be on your device and your data pad and playing those interactive games and mazes. Listen, I love doing that in Galaxy's Edge. I love powering down the moisture evaporators outside of the marketplace. Like I just find such delight in doing that. But that sucks up your battery on your phone, so you don't have it for other things. And you are constantly looking at your phone, like you said. Again, they are creating problems here. It's just a very, very different Disney Parks experience than we used to have. And it wasn't so long ago either.
It wasn't that long
ago.
But
I do want to say, for those of you who might be out there and listening and starting to feel the level of anxiety that we are discussing here, it is possible to enjoy the parks without Genie Plus. I've done it on several occasions, very recently, in fact. One where I was, for charity, to raise funds for Give Kids the World, I was out with the team that I work with, and we were trying to ride as many rides as possible in a day in the 4 parks. Like, this is a fun work day, right? That was my job that day.
To get paid to do that.
Yes, exactly. But it's possible. Like it's possible to just think about last night alone. Journey Under the Sea with the Little Mermaid. That was at 25 minutes. There were other things like Haunted Mansion that didn't have an egregious wait. Like that's been hovering right around 40, 45 minutes. And that does sound like a lot when you'd rather see 20. Well, wouldn't we all?
Exactly.
But there are attractions that we can still get on. So it can still be done. It can still be a great day. If you just go in knowing that my advice is, if you're going to the parks, find out what is the must-do attraction for each member of your touring party, and then focus there. Try to hit those. And then anything else that you get to do is going to be, icing on the cake. Just knowing it's a different experience now than it used to be is half the battle.
Yeah, that's great
I agree
advice.
with you.
Absolutely. So, Deni, I know that recently you did a Moonlight Magic at Epcot.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you're not a DVC member, as you mentioned, but Kenny is a DVC member who loves to flaunt that he has multiple contracts. But I'm
bougie. Okay. I'm bougie, Deni. I'm sorry.
That's fine. Kenny, that's fine. You have a right.
Yeah, I'm a former DVC member with an axe to grind, so I'll stay out of that fight.
Oh, but there's a story
anyway,
there.
So yeah, so Kenny actually did a Moonlight Magic. Where was your Moonlight Magic at Hollywood Studios?
Yeah, I did when I was there last August over at Animal Kingdom.
Oh, I'm sorry, Animal Kingdom.
Very
okay,
good.
so now Kenny posted that he was having issues finding merch, and it seems like you had the same issue. Yeah. You were unable to find any Moonlight Magic merchandise.
Yes, no merch in the park, and that was not something that they led with. They lead with lower attraction wait times. They lead with special entertainment like silent DJs and a DJ and characters that you can meet. They lead with all those things, frozen novelties. But they do not lead with the fact that there's no event-specific merch being offered at the time. And so bless them, because cast members only know what they've, the information that's been imparted to them. So I went to one cast member and was met with a befuddled look, and then shuttled me over to another cast member who was equally as befuddled, and then to another cast member and yet another. And I was told, hey, go to, there's merch. Like, oh, look at the information sheet. There's merch at this location. Unfortunately, that was just the location, the merchandise locations that were open during the event. There was no event-specific merch. The only thing that I was told was available is a T-shirt at shopdisney.com.
Correct.
So you got to buy your T-shirt in advance and wear it.
So, Deni, I did watch your I did watch your vlog. I enjoyed it immensely on your Moonlight Magic.
Thank you.
But that's what I was disappointed in, because when I went, my last one was in last August of 22 at Animal Kingdom, and we got there early, like you did. You could check in early, and so I looked at the pamphlet right away, and I wanted to, because this was my first one in the COVID era of Moonlight Magic. So I was like, well, I want to get some merch. I haven't been in a couple of years to one of these, so I cannot remember the name. It's one of the merchandise places in Dinoland. Well, that's where they said to go in the pamphlet. So we make our way there, and now there's a line forming already. And they said it's not going to open up until Moonlight Magic actually opens. Now, it was nice. To the right of it, they had a DJ booth set up and that. So it was cool. They had all the lights going. They had, So we wait for like a half hour now. And now, it's limited. It's only several hours, the Moonlight Magic. They opened up the doors. Now, everything looks the same as my last one. My last pre-COVID one was in Hollywood Studios. They would allow you to come in. Not everything was for sale, and all the exclusive merchandise for that park was behind the counter. So that's what I felt. So at Animal Kingdom, they open up the doors. Everybody just starts funneling in right to the counter, thinking, well, that's where the merch is. No. No. It was the DVC, the Dooney and Burke bag.
Got it.
One of the pins that they were offering at the time. And I believe there was one other thing. So I said to the lady, and I says, well, there's no exclusive merchandise that has Animal Kingdom's logo on it, because I have cups from the past. I have a bunch of stuff with the actual park on it. And she's like, oh no, we had a problem with the distributor. So I'm like, really? Disney had a problem with a distributor? But I'm like, okay, I'll buy it. I took it. And that's when I saw you there that day, we messaged you on Instagram, and I was like, let me know if there's going to be merch, Deni. And lo and behold, there was no merch.
There was no merch. And it was, it's disappointing. And, like you said, Kenny, like you have a limited time in which to enjoy this event, and you want to capitalize on the time that you are in on that event admission. And so to have to go through asking cast member after cast member for what ultimately will leave you without event merch and frustrated that you've killed time that you didn't have to get rid of it in the first place. Like that's disappointing. That's for sure. So I would have, no, I'm not a DVC member. Would I have bought a shirt? I might have, because a viewer of my channel, Mike, was so kind as to invite me to come and cover it for the channel. And of course I want to kind of go, look, I'm commemorating this. Exactly. I got something to remember this event by. The evening was so much fun. I enjoyed the heck out of it. I don't know that I could have done another thing. Maybe one if I had squeezed it in and not been looking for that merch. But
I know I watched the whole thing, and you were very tired in the end because you ended your clip in the land. Basically, the only people behind you were the workers.
Yes, exactly. It was third shift coming in to clean the land pavilion. Yeah, it was. I really did roll in. I said it in the review, but I rolled in thinking I will be here as long as I can be. Will I be here till 1 a.m.? No. I'm not going to be here till 1 a.m. because I have to work in the morning.
But you were there pretty late. Did you make it to the end?
There I was. Yes,
there you were.
I did. I actually, it was after 1 when I was rolling out of the exit, because you want to linger there at Spaceship Earth and you get a picture or you get a little something, and then you just stumble to your car regretting your decisions, but knowing that you had a fun time.
And you said, before I ask you another question about it, and that's one thing, what you just said, it sparked something in me. One thing I love about Disney is when the park is closed and you're one of those last few coming out of a park and you could just take it in. The sights, the sounds, and I love the subdued lighting and the subdued music, and it's just it's something, at least in my opinion, you can't seem to get anywhere else. No, so for how much we complain at times, it's stuff like that when I'm in New Jersey right now, and we haven't had a bad winter. But you think about that, and you're like, man, how much would it be nice to be leaving Epcot right now, the music playing, turning around, looking at the ball, Spaceship Earth. And that's just something that it's just something I can't get anywhere else.
Listen, I'm right there with you. I sat at my desk, just gobbling up any video, any podcast I could when I was so far from where I wanted to be.
Yep.
Anything to take me to my happy place. Let me see glimpses of it, please. Listen, I cannot tell you the joy of getting to go over to Hollywood Studios simply to have a hot fudge sundae.
That's awesome.
Like, that is some of the most fun that I have. I call it my ice cream shop. That's what Hollywood Studios is. It's my ice cream shop. So I hopped down to Hollywood Scoops, and I'm just as happy as I can be. But that's the thing. It's even though it can be so very crazy, the whole getting here process, even sometimes the in-park experience can be so crazy. Those evenings, I asked people on my Instagram recently, like, do you like the parks better during the day or the night? And which part do you like better during day and night? Because they are such different animals. Like Hollywood Studios during the day is very different from Hollywood Studios at night.
Absolutely.
And there is, granted, it doesn't have subdued lighting or subdued music like you were talking about, Kenny, but it just has subdued crowds. And the fact that I can walk down Hollywood Boulevard and it's just me and a few other people, not that you want to linger inside of a closed park, because those cast members, you want them to be able to go home. They've had a day and they need to go home. But those moments where you're actually in there late because you've had a late dining reservation that maybe didn't end until after the park closed, those are moments to be savored for sure.
Agreed. So back to the Moonlight Magic, I saw you had a couple different dining experiences there. I know you did. It didn't look like you enjoyed your pop eats too much, your grilled cheese and tomato soup.
I did not. The tomato soup was so runny, like thin. Oh, that was some weak tomato soup. Bless its heart. And that half of a grilled cheese sandwich was cold. And so the very thin soup was very hot. This sandwich is very cold and disappointing. Yeah. So it was, I didn't finish it. So that tells you everything. Cause I don't like to not finish Disney food.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's special stuff that we get to have in those parks. But no, that was not special and it went in the trash can.
And that's disappointing because I do like grilled cheese and I loved like the tomato basil soup. I'm really into that. And I also had a disappointing tomato basil soup over at when I stayed in January, actually at the Artist Palette over in Saratoga. It literally like separated the oil and that. It literally separated.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was bad.
You know, artists, they do a great job on their bakery counter. Like anything in their bakery case, anything dessert wise, they have always been so creative and out of the box with their offerings. Yeah. But that's disappointing about that soup. Yeah, that's not good.
So one of the things I noticed that the wait times you said were lower, and that's one of the perks of being a DVC member and getting these perks is limited wait times, less people in the park. And you were on, I think, start to finish on Guardians in, I believe you said 40 minutes?
Yes, it was 40 minutes, which was great. Entering the queue to leaving the attraction. Yeah, just 40 minutes. It was fabulous.
That's good. So you should have went on twice.
I really should have. And sitting there. So at the very end of the evening, when I am, holding my eyelids up, someone, as I was just settling in to start sharing my thoughts, I did overhear other guests going by and they said Guardians is a walk-on, and I went, oh my gosh, if I had not had a little bit of a review segment to film, I would have been over there in a shot to get to just walk onto that attraction. Yep. Those are, I mean, when you get those moments, whatever, even if you have to pay for them, like at an after hours event, you need to take advantage. Yeah, that's what you're paying for, right? And as DVC members, y'all pay so much to get to be a part of DVC that, yes, if they offer you the opportunity to be able to ride an attraction over and over and over again, or with a low wait, you go for it. Capitalize on that.
So
for sure.
I also noticed they had, I didn't know that they were popular until I said something to my daughter, and that they had a silent DJ, and I saw you jamming out. So what kind of an experience was that? Because I was like, she's like, well, yeah, you put the headphones on and then you listen to them. You don't hear them until you put them on. I was like, all right, well, that's kind of cool. I've never heard it before until you saw it. I was like, and they're like, well, that's kind of popular. And I'm like, I don't know. I guess I'm old.
Yeah, they've offered it on like Disney Cruise Line before. And so I've seen friends who have been a part of a silent disco or a silent DJ party. And I kind of go, wow, that's so cool. Literally, you can hear crickets chirping up there. Like, it's so quiet if you don't have the headphones on. And so the whole process was really easy, very streamlined. The cast member explains we've got 2 DJs and, flip this little switch to go to one DJ, flip it to the other. The lights on the headphone turn green or red, depending on which DJ. The DJ booth is lit up in that color so that you know who you're listening to. And they've got their headphones on and they're, jamming. They're having a great time being DJ. But it is quiet up there. So, and it's a bunch of people, you can tell who's listening to whom, by the lights.
By the colors. I believe it was green and red. I believe it was.
Yep,
yeah.
Green and red. You got it. But listen, if you are someone who has sensory issues, who needs a little bit of a quiet moment, because those evenings can be late to loud. You've got the DJ going on here and there, and he's being piped throughout the throughout the park. If you just need a quieter spot, the silent DJ dance party is the place to go. Like if you have a little one, or just a friend with you who needs a moment just to process in quiet, that's the perfect place to go. But it's also the perfect place to go if you want to put on a set of headphones and dance a little bit, which was a lot of fun.
True. I would have been dancing.
Oh yeah, you have to.
So before we wrap up the Moonlight Magic, Deni, I wanted to ask you, I know they started off, if I remember right, they started off the Moonlight Magic with a fireworks show, correct?
So they didn't start it off.
Okay.
All it said in the event pamphlet was be at World Showcase Lagoon at 11 p.m.
Okay.
That's it, for a welcome home celebration. And so everyone gathers around the lagoon at 11 p.m. They come on and just say a little something sweet. And then it's the fireworks show, just for DVC members and their guests. Like, you're not going to see this show anywhere else. It's there's music that's going on, and it's set to that music, but it's not beholden to the music. Like it's a fireworks show before it's anything nighttime spectacular like we've come to know. Some of that music was retro Epcot music, so
you did say that.
I stood there really happy about that. But it was fantastic. They did a great job. They didn't really hold back on that. So,
well, I was going to say, because
nice.
you had a couple minutes of video of it, and then I remember you did commenting, because even watching it through the video, I was like, wow, that's loud. That was loud.
Yes.
That was loud.
But that's isn't that what you want?
That's what
in
you
a
want.
fireworks show?
When those go off, you want to like feel it in your body. Yes.
Yep.
Right there in your chest. You want to feel that, that resonance from the fireworks. And they really, when they unloaded that finale, it was like, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
That's what we want.
That was good. That was good. So I will close out with this, with Moonlight Magic. You are not a DVC member. This was your first experience going to a Moonlight Magic event. So let me ask you this. If you were, so say I am, do you think events like this that are exclusive, and because of what they give you for free, the very limited wait times, from the DJs to the fireworks, everything like that, do you think, now granted, we know membership is tens of thousands of dollars.
Yes.
However, do you think do you think it's worth it? Do you think that perk, you know what I mean? It's not, it's hard to compare a free event compared to spending tens of thousands of dollars, but do you think
it is?
It's an event worth it to buy in, or one of them? You know what I'm trying to get at.
I mean, should you buy a membership or, buy into DVC just to have access to events like that? No, you shouldn't, because again, like you said, that is literally thousands upon thousands of dollars.
Yes.
You should not do that just for those events. Is Moonlight Magic an attractor? Is it a plus? Is it something that that's something that people enjoy and will enjoy. And that's something, frankly, that you should do, because these are people who, again, have spent thousands upon thousands of dollars into a timeshare on, Disney property, be it at Disneyland or here or Alani. Like, yes, please give us something. I would think that the DVC members would be saying that, like, yes, we want that and we want more, because here's the deal. I mean, if you live out of state, you're not going to be able to get to Moonlight Magic necessarily. And so y'all know that. Like, are you planning a trip around an event? Like, have you said that you were going to you came down to one in Animal Kingdom. Did you build a trip around the event, or did it just happen to coincide?
No, only one we did, because we wanted to check it out, and that was pre-COVID. The last several was just based on, hey, we had vacation planned. They announced Moonlight Magic, and we're like, okay, great. It went with our vacation, but we've only planned one once around Moonlight Magic. So
if it happens to, coincide, then yes, that's absolutely a plus. They should give y'all all the perks they can and more.
Now, what did you think about, and this is my last Moonlight Magic question, I promise. What did you think about
fine.
the, they give you 3 free vouchers, I believe it was, for the food. I think that's good. They're giving you something for free.
Yeah. Feed me dinner. Like, that was the advice that I got was, once you're in the park early, and I was at Epcot during Festival of the Arts. So there were festival booths that were open, food booths, that you could be able to go to. And so I did. I was advised to go spend those before the event started and spend them at the festival booths, because you can, not that you're gaming the system at all, but you can play it so that you are getting something that is a little bit more filling than just like, I don't know what you're getting, popcorn or a pretzel or whatever. So as long as it has that little DDP emblem beside it for Disney Dining Plan, then you can use that snack certificate on it. And so I did. I rejoiced after having that risotto. I mean, that was $9.75. It was incredible. It was filling. It was everything that I wanted. And so to be able to start out that event, I felt like I was ahead of the curve. I didn't start off the event with a deficit at all. I didn't have to deal with being hungry. So once the event officially began, I was able to go, okay, I'm going to go get Guardians under my belt. And then I'm going to go have fun doing some of the other event exclusive items, like trying to meet a character or, having a Mickey bar at 12:20 in the morning.
It's always good.
Kind of thing.
You're on vacation.
Yeah.
Oh, well, no, you weren't on vacation, but you get the drift.
Sir.
Okay, those calories counted.
Yeah, that sugar, I needed it though.
But
okay, well, I am done with Moonlight Magic.
Having said that, though, don't you feel that? Well, actually, I'm going to add on one more.
Okay.
Don't you feel that instead of the vouchers, that the DVC members deserve a little bit more than that? That maybe having like a buffet type setup somewhere where they could just have whatever they wanted, as opposed to giving them coupons. I mean, to me, it just doesn't seem like it falls into that DVC category.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I mean, ultimately, yes, they're giving this to you for free. Somebody's paying that bill. And so if they are also staffing, because they would have to do multiple buffets to move that many people through, so scattered throughout the park, they have to, if it's in like World Showplace, they've got a lighting, cooling, heating going on into that venue, plus all the cast members to staff the event, plus all of the food and beverage people. And listen, to cater an event at Disney is not cheap. And so, and somebody's budget line is going to have to get, tapped for that event. So they've already got the festival booths going. They had them open 1 hour later for the event guests. So like when I went back up to get the paper boats, I mentioned it in the video, I'm trying to take a couple of the philo pockets home at Tangerine Cafe for my husband.
Your husband,
I wanted to get one of the, an additional paper boat to go over top to attempt to get this thing home in one piece. I had to show my wristband because it was after 9 p.m.
Wow. Okay.
when going back up to the food location. And because I was there for Moonlight Magic, I was allowed to enter Tangerine Cafe. But so they were doing that on all of the booths that were participating that night for an extra hour. So I'm sure the overhead, all the costs involved with keeping those festival booths open 1 hour later was less than the other options, because again, money is always the answer.
Yep.
So Deni, I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to ask you your top 3 Disney dining experiences.
Oof.
Oh my word.
Wow.
My top 3 Disney dining experiences. I'm going to tell you my top. All right. So I've had some pretty cool ones, and ones that I can't necessarily review because they were because they were gifted and now and gifted as a member of the Diz team. And so I want to be sure to honor that.
Yep.
So I've had some pretty cool ones. Getting to be on the Star Cruiser and eating all that crazy Star Wars food. That was a whole lot of fun. That's for sure. Just the inventiveness with which they went about doing everything. And bless Star Cruiser's heart. I know it's going through a time right now. But as far as recently, I've got to put the Yachtsman Steakhouse experience that I just had last week up toward the very tippy top, because it was that table by the window overlooking Stormalong Bay. It was getting there at 5:30 in the evening, so everything turned to dusk as we were sitting there. You pay for an experience, and you really hope it meets what you've paid for it. And this one really did. Our server Aura was fantastic. Everything I ate was fantastic, except for maybe the piece of medium rare steak that my son
that was medium rare
wanted me to eat. Oh my goodness. Right up at the tippy top is Flying Fish. Again, a signature dining experience here at Walt Disney World. There is something about being at the boardwalk in the evening. I don't know if you all feel the same way.
That's
about
my second favorite between there and Saratoga.
Yeah. It is, there's just something special about that place. And listen, I am, give me an artisanal cheese board and I am a very happy camper. And the one that they have right now at Flying Fish is so good. In fact, they give you a little card that explains every cheese, like the history of it, where it came from, and all this. I have that pinned above my desk at work. So much.
There you go.
I love that.
That means you like it.
I do. And then my very favorite right now, and just one of the best, time and time again, one of the best dining experiences that I've had is Toledo at Disney's Coronado Springs Resort. It's on the 16th floor of the Grand Destino Tower. And listen, this is a moderate resort that is masquerading as a deluxe resort. So that filet that's on their menu is $38, not $49. And listen, I love the Brown Derby. But it's a $49 filet. It's delicious, but it's a $49 filet. At Toledo, I can get it for $38, and it comes with a beautiful puree. Oh my gosh, you talk about cheese boards. At Toledo, it's called the Spaniard. Now, granted, it's $35.
Okay.
So let that sink in. Yes, that's $35, but it's shareable. It serves 2 to 4 people, so everyone can enjoy. And it is amazing. The Manchego cheese. Oh, my stars. The aged ham that is on the Spaniard. Like, so good. So, and their crema, the classic crema catalana on the dessert menu is among my very favorite desserts at Walt Disney World. It's $8. It's $8, and it comes with candied orange peel on the top, and this beautiful chocolate tulle cookie that has just been so lovingly prepared. It's chef's kiss. It couldn't be more perfect. So there are plenty of others that I could list off that I've had, and just moments where you just go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm here and getting to do this right now. But if you are coming to Walt Disney World and you're looking for an experience that you can have right now, those are 3 that I would absolutely recommend. Another one, and listen, this is a conversation for another time, all in and of itself. But Jungle Skipper Canteen in the Magic Kingdom
Really?
Wow. Oh my gosh, it's so good. And for a fan of the
Weren't
Magic
you there
Kingdom,
recently?
yes, I was.
I
was
Instagram.
there again.
Yes. Yep.
Got to eat in the butterfly booth in the SCA room, like the secret SCA room. But they have given so many nods to true Disney fans in that dining location, to Jungle Cruise fans. And so just to walk in and go, oh, I get you. I see what you did there. Thank you. Like stuff that could have been, we're not going to do that. The menu at first scared people away, I think, and kind of gave it a reputation it really didn't deserve. It's a little bit more approachable now. They even have a secret appetizer on the menu, which I highly recommend, but I'm not going to spoil the fun. You've got to go to the restaurant and ask for the secret appetizer, but it's just so incredibly delicious, and the servers are very tongue-in-cheek, just like the Jungle Cruise skippers. So it's a lot of fun.
So the Toledo,
Deni, I have a question for you.
I'm sorry, Ken.
Go ahead.
Real quick.
Go ahead, Walt. Go right ahead.
Yeah.
So the Toledo review that you just gave, how would you compare the steak at Toledo to say, for example, a Le Cellier? Because you mentioned like a price point. At Le Cellier, you're looking at a $62 filet.
Yep.
And now you're mentioning a $38. That's a definite savings if the quality's not a huge drop off. Obviously, it makes more sense to go to Toledo than it does to go to Le Cellier.
Yep.
I would go to Toledo, and I do far more than Le Cellier. Le Cellier, it's been a couple years since I've been to Le Cellier.
I love it there. That's my place.
Toledo is a regular for me. For the view alone, Walt, like you are on the 16th floor with floor to ceiling windows. You can see all 4 parks from that location. And if you're there if you time it right at night, you can be there during the fireworks.
Oh, wow.
And so you'll see Harmonious going off at Epcot. You'll see when they do the pyrotechnics at Hollywood Studios, you'll see those go up. You can see Galaxy's Edge all lit up.
That's cool.
From up there.
You sold me on that. I'm
gorgeous.
going to get an ADR for my trip in a few weeks now.
Oh, good. Oh, please let me know what you think. I hope you love it.
You sold me on that one. I'm going to definitely try it. And then if I don't, I'll blame you for it. So,
Please do. I've got broad shoulders. Bring it. It's all right.
Well, that was a question I was going to ask. So let me ask you this, Deni. Yachtsman or Le Cellier, which do you think is better filet?
Yachtsman.
Oh, wow. Okay. Because I'm a diehard Le Cellier.
Listen, it's been a long time. Well, I want to say, it's been 4 or 5 years since I've had the filet at Le Cellier. But again, for me, those steaks, those steaks are hand cut daily and by the head butcher at Yachtsman. Like you can see them as you walk in, you meet your steak. There it is. It's right there.
You could also see them from the Cruise Cup too, which I was at recently.
Yes. Yep. That's right. And so here's the deal. I really believe I enjoy the experience at Yachtsman more than Le Cellier. Le Cellier is neat in that you're actually getting to walk into that space, like that big hotel that sits there. You get to actually walk into the cellar of it. But there are no windows in that space. There's no natural light happening. Is it, charming? Yes, it's charming. But I don't want to necessarily always pay for charming. Sometimes I'll pay for charming. I want to pay for really, really, really good food and a really good experience. And you're going to get a better experience at Yachtsman than you're going to get at Le Cellier. You're going to be taken care of more. Your server, the servers at Yachtsman are literally a cut above. They are, it's just the whole experience is so elevated at Yachtsman. It's more of an experience. And I think sometimes with in-park dining locations, it's turn and burn. We're going to get you in and we're going to get you out.
Yeah.
Because we got somebody else to come in and do the same thing. Here at Yachtsman, we weren't rushed at all. The pacing of the meal was exactly as you would want it to be. And it's a lovely place.
And it seems like the atmosphere,
it's been there.
It seems like the atmosphere in the restaurant's a lot better than it would be at Le Cellier. As you know, with Le Cellier, you have that tight table experience where you're dining next to the other party, where you're basically an arm's length away from someone. And it seemed like your experience at Yachtsman was much better, a little bit more spread out, and the atmosphere is a little better.
Yes. I mean, Yachtsman doesn't have the pretzel rolls.
Yeah.
I'm all about the carbs.
They are good.
So, and those pretzel rolls, I just want to, shove them in my little backpack or my purse and roll out of there. But no, it's just kind of apples and oranges to me. And Yachtsman comes out on top.
Great.
Deni, real quick, I'll ask you, because when I was there in January, I didn't dine at the Yachtsman, but we were able to get a booth, and we had some dessert and a couple drinks at the Cruise Cup for the first time. And when I initially walked in, I was shocked and taken back by the decor, because I was like, wow, I almost thought I was in Wilderness Lodge for a minute.
Yes.
I was like, where am I?
What am I doing here? Yeah, the craftsman aesthetic of it, at first, it does feel a little jarring. Like, are you supposed to be here?
Yes.
Did somebody realize that they were in the wrong place and just kept going with it? But no, once you settle in, that kind of fades a little bit. So,
I love
it. It's comforting, and I've not sat in Cruise Cup. I'm going to do that here soon with my son. My son is a bartender.
Okay.
And so I want to get his perspective on, the different lounges on Walt Disney World property. Like, okay, so tell me what's okay here. What's good, what's not.
Because I think they're so unexplored.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh. And even for someone who doesn't drink, they'll still be able to do a great mocktail. And thankfully, we are getting new and fresh mocktails. Like, Disney is starting to catch on to the fact that not everybody wants, not everybody wants that necessarily, but they do want something special and fancy.
Yep.
Because other people are having fancy. We would like fancy too. So thankfully, they're figuring that out.
Yep.
Oh, that's good to hear.
So, Deni, we'll move on to sweet treats. One of your favorite subjects.
Absolutely.
So, I wanted to get your take on something that I am looking forward to having, but I haven't been able to recently get over there, and that's over at Germany and Epcot.
Yes.
Now, Kenny's had the caramel gingerbread cookie there, and I actually wanted to try the pretzel bread pudding, which I hear great things about. Now let me ask you, the pretzel bread pudding, is that only available?
It's on my list.
There it is.
I made a list, and it's on it.
Is that only available during the Food and Wine Festival? Or the garden?
No, it's
year-round?
Nope, it's available at Summerfest, which is their quick service location. So you kind of enter into the back of the pavilion, where on the left-hand side, looking at the pavilion, the cuckoo clock and everything, you've got Beer Garden on the left-hand side. Summerfest, they're going to bring you in the right-hand side. And typically at Summerfest, they just have a couple things on the menu. It's not a large place. It's just not. But thankfully, mercifully, they have given us a pretzel bread pudding that appeared around the time that Guardians opened last year. And thankfully, it's still in existence, because it is the bomb. Like, it has to be on your list. It has to be at the top of your Disney snack list, because it's so good.
That is
now, Deni. I saw you raise. Now, Deni, I saw you raise your hand when he said that I had the that caramel gingerbread.
Oh my gosh, it's so good, and you can mobile order it. So please take advantage. Anything at caramel cooker. I think that's that's it. Anything that you can get at that location, please do it. But yes, open it up in MDX and mobile order one of those cookies, and you'll be so happy.
Is it available? Because it's gingerbread. Now, is it available all year?
Yes.
It's weird.
At one point in time, it disappeared.
Yes.
But then they realized that we, the fans, declare it must be year round. So thankfully,
because I only had it once last year, because I know when I went, I generally go 2 to 3 times a year. And I had it right after, because we generally go in January. I had it in January, and I said, okay, it's a leftover from the holidays. And then in the summer I went back, they didn't have it. And in the fall, they didn't have it. And then January I go back again, and they had it. And I was like, knowing in the back of my mind how delicious it was, and at the same time going, I may not get you for a whole year. It was so good. So I'm happy that that it's available all the time now, because it is.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's delicious.
Yes, it is.
It's absolutely delicious. And that popcorn, you can mobile order that. You can mobile order select items from their case. My very favorite thing to have from that location actually is not the cookie sandwich. I love it. But it is the dark chocolate sea salt caramel. One of those squares, and I am just in heaven. And you cannot eat it in I cannot eat it in one sitting. Maybe others can, and that's great. You do you. But I kind of savor it a little bit at a time, and it's my very favorite thing.
Okay, that's on the list.
Definitely.
You know what's going to happen tomorrow, Walt? We're going to go on Instagram, and everything we talked about, Deni's going to be posting, because she's very fortunate enough to live there, and she can just go do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
I have to have it. I have to have it. No, I won't be in Epcot tomorrow. So alas, no, I'm sorry.
That's all right. We'll forgive you, even if you did.
Have you had an opportunity to have the cinnamon roll at Gaston's Tavern?
I have. I've had it very recently, in fact. It is very good. It is very different from what used to be in the Main Street Bakery. It's just not the same. Like, when it moved back to Gaston's, there was this huge fervor, and people were all up in arms because it was changed. It's more of a maple flavor than what we had initially. But it's good, and it's ginormous, so it's incredibly shareable, and it is far better than the cinnamon bun that is now being served in the Main Street Bakery / Starbucks. Please do not waste your Disney snack dollars on that cinnamon bun. It will disappoint you. Please don't.
And how about the school?
But that cinnamon bun and is good.
How about
go ahead.
No, how about the school bread at Norway? I've heard a lot about that, and I've never had it before.
Yes. That is one of the most popular. When I asked my viewers which snacks they stopped their World Showcase touring day for, school bread was up there among the most of those that stopped, or stop worthy. It's different. It's not as sweet. It's more of a savory bread. So you got to know that going into it. It's got some of those flavors that we're used to from Kringla. So it's got a little cardamom in it. It's got a little toasted coconut on top. So as long as you know that this isn't going to be the sweetest thing you've ever had to eat in a Walt Disney World park, then I think you'll be fine.
Okay.
But it's very yummy.
All right. So Ken, we won't keep Deni too long. We're going to turn this into like a Joe Rogan podcast if we keep going here. So
we'll be here like 3 hours. Deni, we're just going to keep going.
Just keep going.
Yeah. So Deni, we were going to talk a little bit about your position over at Give Kids the World. You are the PR manager over at Give Kids the World. And just tell our listeners and viewers a little bit about some of the great work that's being done over there.
Yeah, so when you hear about critically ill children and being granted wish trips to Walt Disney World or Universal or SeaWorld, likely here in this area, they are staying at Give Kids the World Village. The large majority of wishes have to do with Central Florida. That's where kiddos want to be able to come for their once-in-a-lifetime trip. And so Give Kids the World is a resort. It's an 89-acre fairy tale storybook resort for these kids, which is a destination in and of itself. Like, yes, they're coming down to Walt Disney World or Universal or Legoland or SeaWorld or Kennedy Space Center, wherever they're coming. Yes, but also there are so many families who get to Give Kids the World and go, oh, wait a second, we need time here because we are fully accessible. So really the goal behind a family's stay at Give Kids the World is to have a time filled with all the best, like to make this the very best week of their entire lives. So if they want ice cream at 8:00 in the morning, they can have it.
Nice.
They can have it at 8:00 at night, as long as, parents are okay with that. They can have it then. They can, we have fully accessible attractions right there at Walt Disney World.
Cool.
These are attractions that some of the kids who go on this is the first time they've ever gotten to ride an attraction in their lives. So think of that. I mean, the Disney Parks fans that we are, we think nothing of hopping on an attraction. We get to go on Space Mountain. We get to go on It's a Small World. We get to go on Haunted Mansion. Whatever we want to go on, we get to go on. These are kids who don't get to do that. But at Give Kids the World, they do. And so these are moments that are being had at the village, which are unlike anything else. And just the responses that we get from the families, it's just so incredibly heartwarming. They get to stay in a villa that is fully accessible. We have just all the meals that they need. In fact, if they come home from a Walt Disney World day and they are complete toast and they just need a quiet evening in the villa, we'll deliver a pizza to their villa. Like, don't even worry about it. We got you. The kids get gifts every day. We celebrate. We have nightly parties every night. Every Monday is Halloween.
Oh, wow.
And every Thursday is Winter Wonderland. So Santa comes with a gift for every child. And we have over 1,700 volunteer shifts a week. Without our volunteers, this doesn't happen. And so we have people, oh my gosh, yes, we have college groups here right now who are volunteering over spring break. So they've taken their entire spring break and they're here in Central Florida volunteering at Give Kids the World. Yes, they're doing other fun things, but that's their big thing, is volunteering here. We have other people who come down to Walt Disney World and spend a day at the village volunteering. And of course, our local volunteers, we couldn't do it without them. But of course, as a nonprofit, we are dependent upon donors and the generosity of others. And I thank you so much for how you all have supported the village in the past. And it really does mean the world, because you are granting something to a family that they've just never had before. And we are able to make a moment for them that they'll remember forever. Each child has a star ceremony during their time at the village, where they are given a gold star and they are given the ability to decorate their star however they want to. And some of them choose to put their name on, some of them put on a little symbol, whatever it is. And then they have a ceremony that they go through that Stellar, our star fairy, takes their star and places it in the galaxy.
Wow.
And then they come back and Stellar shows them where she placed their star. And every single kiddo has their own star represented. And a family can leave there. They don't know what the future holds, but they know that their child has been honored in this moment and has a piece of their beautiful child represented in this place, in the Castle of Miracles. And the cool thing is, families can come back twice a year for alumni visits and visit that star if they so choose. So it's just a very, very, very special place.
Absolutely. I can't think of a more worthwhile charity that you could support and donate because of just the impact that you're making on people's lives, especially families, in that type of a situation where it is so difficult. And it's just amazing work that they're doing down there. So again, Ken, we'll probably post that on our page if you're able to. If you're listening to this and you're able to, just please feel free to donate whatever you can to this amazing charity.
Thank you. That would be incredible. You know, people think, sometimes I hear, and even friends might say this, like this has got to be such a hard place to work, and it's got to be really sad. No, it's actually not. There are no doctors here. There are no doctor appointments. There's no radiation here. There's no anything that they have to deal with at home. It's all just yes here. It is, let's savor every moment. And it really is. I know you might think the Disney parks are the happiest place on earth, but really the Village is.
There you go.
That's good to hear. Thank you, Deni, for all the information. And it's a wonderful organization. And we will get the information from Deni. And below in the show notes will be a link to Give to Kids the World, where you can make a very generous donation.
Thank you.
So before we wrap, Deni, I want to ask one last question, if I may, if you have time.
Yes. Go for it.
Since you moved to the Magic, I don't know how many years it's been now since you moved, because you're from Maryland, is it?
Maryland. Okay. Yeah, we moved in 2013.
Okay, so it's been a decade now.
Yes.
And a lot of people say when you move to the Magic, sometimes you lose the magic. Is it? Can you explain to me? It's got to be different because it becomes your backyard. It's, you know, like for us.
Yeah.
And I will quote a friend, and he's going to be listening to this. He wants to move down there, who I work with. You know, like up where we're at, people have like Central Park. You could go out and go walk in the park, right? If you're in the city. Well, if you're in Central Florida, you have Epcot. You know, where you could just get up, go and make now you got to make a park reservation and go and just take a walk. So how cool is it to be living at the Magic, and how much different is it living there than it is traveling like Walter and I and everyone else listening?
You know, I would be disingenuous if I said it wasn't different, because it is. It does change because you're here. And so I don't want to say that it's not changed at all and it's just the same as it always was. Well, listen, when I rolled in from Maryland with 2 kids in tow, and the pressure was on to capitalize on every moment in those parks. And so I needed to do X, Y, and Z. Listen, I remember the realization that I had when my kids were really little, and we were down to the wire on the last day of our vacation. And I was standing in Epcot in the France Pavilion, looking up at the Eiffel Tower. And it dawned on me that even with 7 days in these parks, you could never do everything. And I kind of went, okay, like that's a little disappointing. I don't have that pressure now. Living here, I don't feel the fervor to get it all done. And I don't have the regret of leaving without having done something that I really wanted to do. I mean, listen, do I get to do everything I want to all the time just because I live here? No, I don't. But I don't have the pressure like, oh, I didn't get on Guardians this Epcot visit. Well, that's okay. I could try again next week. And that's true. If I have a really rough day at work, no matter where, my job has been, I can go to my happy place. I can go to Epcot. I can go get a sundae at Hollywood Scoops and sit at the base of the Hollywood Tower Hotel and listen to people scream on the attraction, which I adore getting to do. So, I can do that because I live here now, and that's how I get to use the parks. Here's what it does, though. It makes other opportunities to get into the other parks that much more special. Because now I get to live by Walt Disney World, and it does not feel like a decade. It just doesn't feel like 10 years since we moved down. It makes Disneyland even more special.
I want to get out there. Walter's been there. I have not.
Ooh, my goodness. And listen, my hubby and I are going to get to go to Paris this summer, which is a lifelong dream, to get to Paris. And we're including a day or two, ? We don't know. We're in the planning phase here of getting to go to Disneyland Paris.
Nice.
So that's going to be it makes the other Disney parks and getting there something that's more vacation feeling now, because it is. You have to travel. So, it's the same. Gosh, it's the same thing about, I used to live right by, I was 45 minutes from Washington, D.C. And growing up, I used to watch Wheel of Fortune, and they would give away 7-day trips to Washington, D.C. And I remember being 10 going, what? People travel here? Like, why would they come spend a week? Well, because it's the nation's capital, my friend. Just because it's in your backyard doesn't mean
right.
somebody else doesn't want to actually travel here and savor it. So no matter where you live, there's something special about where you live. And so it makes the other thing, the vacation spot more special. So yes, Walt Disney World, absolutely. I walk into those parks and it's still special. It's a different kind of special, but I try not to take it for granted, the fact that I'm doing this, because I spent so many years wanting to be nowhere else than here. Like, this is where I wanted to be. And I finally got to do that. And so 10 years or not, it's still really something that I like to savor as much as possible.
That's good. Because that's definitely a place where I want to land. I think Walter's in the same spot. And every year we get older in the winters, and I'm like, I really don't want to do this no more.
Listen, not shoveling snow, that will never get old. No. It's delightful not having to shovel snow or look at brown snow. Like that first day of snow. Oh, that's fun.
It's what's
you can
after.
Bake cookies. Yep. Oh, that second day when it turns brown and it's in your way. No fun.
Oh.
And that's one of the things I love about your perspective when you do your vlogging, is that you kind of come from both of those angles, where you give the perspective of the person who does live in Florida, but you also realize that there are people who travel who may not get the same opportunities or afforded the same opportunities that people who live there all the time. So you kind of give, that's what I enjoy the most about your perspective, is that, because most vloggers just give you that myopic viewpoint of, we're here and this is what you can experience. Whereas you're a little bit more broad with your view on things. And I really appreciate that.
I appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
Deni, thank you so much for joining us. This has been an absolute pleasure and an honor to have you here with us today. Thank you for sharing your time with us. we both greatly appreciate it. Who knows? Hopefully in the future, we may be able to do it again.
Love to. Anytime. I do appreciate you asking me on. It was an absolute blast. And listen, anytime you want to talk about Disney desserts and snacks and sweets, you know who to call.
Thank you.
My
so
sentiments
much.
Exactly what Walter said, Deni, is that it has been an absolute pleasure. I love your content. It's one of those like moments where I've watched you for so long on YouTube, and now I can't believe I'm literally interviewing you right now. And I really appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. That's it. So, all right, folks, that's going to do it for this very special edition of the Disney Resorts podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. For Deni Sunderly, Walt Ramirez, and myself, take care, everybody.